नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वाहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली रब्बी ज़िदनी इल्मा अल्लाहुम्मा फ़क़्क़िहना फ़िद्दीन अल्लाहुम्मा इन्नी अस्अलुका इल्मन नाफ़िअ व अमलन मुतक़ब्बला व रिज़्क़न तय्यबा Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna ma yanfa'una wa zidna ilma. Over here today, inshallah, we will be talking about the haq meher. What is a haq meher? That is, in Islam, when a person gets married, then the husband is supposed to give some gift, which is definitely from the husband side. There is nothing, just like unlike our how Indo-Pak culture, we see that most of the things are going from the wife's side, the bride's side, the daughter's side, and the parents of the daughters are mostly like the ones who are arranging everything and the big dinners and big huge amounts of gifts and the furniture and all those things. The dowry is actually supposed to be from the husband's side. So if you will actually see the translation of this haq meher in English, it will be dowry, which we see that in our subcontinent especially, and maybe other Muslim countries as well, we see that it is dowry is the word used for all the gifts and all the valuables that the daughter, the bride's parents have to give at the time of marriage. So first of all, I wanted to clear this concept. Another concept that I wanted to clarify was also that dowry or this haq meher is one of the fard, one of the most important. It's an obligation on the husband. It's not an optional gift. In the history, we've seen that the haq meher or the dowry has been it could be material, and in case the person cannot totally afford anything, it could be things like the wives in Islam, they have also requested or demanded the dowry to be that the husband teaches her Quran or anything that the Prophet ﷺ has approved, but it does not mean that it should be given miserly. If a person can afford, then it should be a really valuable gift depending on how much the husband can afford. Other things that in Islamic marriage is supposed to have is announcement, and some other things, the parents or the wali of like somebody, a guardian from the bride's side. Bride cannot be on her own, and besides announcement and the wali or the guardians from the bride's side, there has to be the dinner from the husband's side, which is called a walima dinner. And we see that things have completely changed in today's time. The weddings are really becoming very expensive, especially for the bride's parents. And actually, if we see the hadith, Prophet ﷺ has cursed the weddings on which the lots of money is spent. Prophet ﷺ has blessed or given dua to the weddings which are not done in a very elaborate style, and on which there's less money is spent as compared to spending too much money on. Whereas today we see that there are functions like which are again, we are influenced by the Hindu culture. We see that there's dance parties which are called Mendi and Mayu and those things before weddings. We also see that there's a separate dinner party for the nikah ceremony. There's a separate dinner party for reception. There's all these different other things added after the walima and after the fourth day of the marriage, and all those gifts that has to be given to the mother-in-law, father-in-law, sisters-in-law, and all the other relatives. So all these things are not part of Islam. Even engagement ceremony is not part of Islam. Mainly what is part of Islam is the nikah and then the walima dinner given by the husband or the husband side. Again, it does not have to be very elaborate and very huge. It could be depending on whatever the husband can afford. It could be a very private party, or it could be a little bit bigger. But that in today's times we see that people make it further upon themselves, that for all the each and every function, all the people want to wear different clothes, and not just different in that particular wedding, all the 6 7 8 functions are, but they also want them to be different from any other wedding, or they should look different, they should not repeat. So these are all the signs of a nation who is completely going away from Quran. This just clearly shows how much far away we are from our Sunnah, and let alone this is. I know that the main focus was primarily about spending money, but if you look at these ceremonies, these functions, they are so non-religious. They are not related, like they are not at all Islamic. They are so far away from Islam. There are dance parties, there's mixed gathering, there is like shamelessness, there is no modesty in clothing, how the girls are wearing makeup, how they are interacting, boys and girls are interacting, not just interacting but dancing together, and how the gifts are presented. And it has to be like the groom's side often gives them a list of things that they want in their house, and then the brands of the machines and appliances that they want, what kind of car they want. So it's all becoming so as I already told you, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam cursed a marriage that looks like this. And you can see that this also has a very negative effect on our society as a whole, because then nobody wants to send a proposal to the poor people's family, right? If somebody has daughters but they don't have so much money to spend on their wedding, then nobody is interested in getting married to their daughters. So this is all becoming really bad. It's giving rise to uh, going away from deen. It's giving rise to doing other un-Islamic things like the cosmetic surgeries and whatnot, So these are just something I wanted to remind you about, what is important and needed and necessary in an Islamic marriage, and what is completely un-Islamic and it should not be part of it. So it is, as Muslims, our duty to also stay away from such things whenever we have control over our brothers, our sisters, our daughters, our sons' marriages, and wherever possible, if things are really not in line with our religion, then it's better to stay away from such functions, not going and encouraging such functions where there is free mixing and mingling, and videos and movies are being made of those dancings, and all those things are happening. So we should not encourage such culture, and in fact we should discourage such culture. Now, coming to these ayats today, the ayat that we will be covering today is 236 and 237. They talk about the haq mahr or dowry, and I will tell you that there are 4 scenarios that can happen. So the dowry, if it is already decided, and if it is not decided from before, okay? And then within decided, there is possibility that only nikah is done, or if the husband and wife are living together, or they've just had nikah and they are still not living together. So there are 4 scenarios like that. And let me tell you one more thing, that again, maybe it's this subcontinent or some other places as well, people think that this haq mahr or dowry is supposed to be given to the wife only at the time if divorce happens. That is not the case. In Islam, this haq mahr is supposed to be given to the wife either immediately, and there are 2 types of these haq mahr or dowry. One is ajila and one is ajila. One is with hamza and one is with ain. Ajila means immediate, at the night of wedding, or immediately, like within a day or 2 or 3. and the other one could be um, any time decided, like, okay, I'll give it to you within a couple of years or within 5 years or something like that. So it is recommended, it is preferred in Islam to not delay it, because that puts the wife in a position to remind the husband and leading to unpleasantness in the marriage, because the husband will not like it. He will probably think that, oh, she's greedy, but that is her haq, because it is called haq meher. So this meher is so much important that if a husband dies without giving her the haq meher, without giving his wife the haq meher, that will be considered a loan upon him. He cannot be buried until and unless that loan is cleared. So that is why it is highly recommended to give it immediately, so it does not linger on, and there is no time in life where the wife has to remind. And also this is her property, so it should not you should avoid bringing a time where her or her family has to remind. So again, it does not mean that it has to happen upon divorce time only. Many people think that, oh, meher is supposed to be given at the time if divorce happens. So if divorce is not happening, then this does not need to be given, and it is never given during the whole married lifetime. So, okay, if something like this happens, that they reach a point of divorce and the meher is not given, so these two ayats discuss how much meher should be given. In a situation where they've just gotten nikah done and they are not living, they've not consummated their marriage, then there could be two scenarios. They've just had nikah, but because of some problem, some misunderstanding, something happens and they get a divorce. So it is possible that amount was already decided, and it is possible that the amount was not yet decided, and it was supposed to be decided at the time of the ceremony when they would start living together. And in the case that if it was decided and the divorce happens, they can, and they've not touched each other, they can the husband will give half of it, unless either party says okay, I don't want, the wife's party says they don't want anything, that's perfectly fine. Or if the husband's side says, no, I want to give full, but at least half has to be given. In the case that they've just had nikah, they've not consummated their marriage, then they will be giving and if the amount is not decided, then any reasonable amount that is going around, that will be given. The similar thing happens when they have consummated the marriage, but the divorce happens. In this case, if the haq meher is still not given, in the case it was not decided, there will be a reasonable amount given, and in the case it was decided, then that the haq meher will be given in full, that the amount that was decided. You will see the exact same things in the ayats 236 and 237. We will do the translation and I will do some more explanation as needed. So basically it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the husband that it is a fard upon you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La, there is no junaha, blame, alaykum, upon you, in if talaqtumun nisaa, if you divorce, talaq nisa, the women, ma, whom, lam, not, tamussuhunna, mim, sin is the root, which means touched. If you have touched, lam tamassuhunna, meaning if you have not touched, aw, nor, tafridu, you specified the fard, the obligation of the haq meher, the dowry amount, lahunna, for them, farida, the obligation, the dowry. So if you've not decided, then there is it's preferred that it should be decided as right at the time of nikah, which most people do, in case it has not happened for some reason. Wa, and matti'uhunna, mim ta'ain, and give the mata, give the provision for them, ala, upon, al-musi'i, wow, sin ain means vastness, upon the wealthy. How will they give it? Qadaruhu, according to their qadar, according to their means. وعلى and upon al-muqtiri qaf tara, which means the poor, qadaruhu. So the poor will give according to his means and the wealthy will give according to his means. Mata'an bil ma'ruf, the provision in a fair manner. So it should be ma'ruf. It should not be given in a miserly manner. It should not be like, okay, we're getting divorced anyway, so why should we be gracious to them, and we can do whatever we can and we don't have to have any obligation towards them anyway. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ordering here, it has to be bil ma'ruf. So you have to keep in mind that it is not an option, it's not something that you are being kind enough to do, it is you're following the command of Allah to give the amount in a maruf manner. It's not an ihsan from you. Haqqan, it's a duty alal muhsinin, upon the muhsin, upon the good doers. Next ayat. وَإِنْ, and if طَلَّقْتُمُوهُنَّ, if you divorce them, طَلَّقْ مِنْ قَبْلِ, before, and that تَمُسُّهُنَّ, means seen that you have touched them. So if you divorce before you've touched them, وَقَدْ, while already فَرَضْتُمْ, the farad, the specified amount, lahunna farida, for them an obligation, dowry. So what should you do? For nisfu, then give half. Nisf is half. Ma, of what? Faratum, which you have specified. So if the amount is already specified and you've not touched them and there is a divorce happening, then you can give half of them. Illa, except, unless, and that ya'funa, that they, afu means to forgive, they forego it, the women or the women's side, they forego it, they say we don't need half, it's fine, we're fine with that. Or yafu allazi biyadihi, or forgoes the one, yafu again, ain fa, forgives the one, biyadihi, ya dal dal, meaning on his hands, uqdatu, the knot an nikah. So or the one forgoes the one in his whose hands is the knot of the marriage, meaning the husband's side, they forgo. How do they forgo or forgive? They give the full. They say we want to give the full amount, even if the nikah has not been consummated yet. Wa, and that ta'fu, that you should forgive, you should let go, you should forgo. Aqrabu, it's better, it's nearer. Qaf raba means qareeb, near. Lit taqwa, it's close to righteousness, that you should be generous, you should be gracious enough that something like this happens between the families, for some reason it's found that you're not compatible, somehow it's found that okay, he's going to live outside the country, she doesn't want that, so something happens that the divorce has to happen, you should be gracious enough to wanting to give the full amount, although the obligation is to give at least half if you've not touched. If the not touched over here means that you've not met alone. Okay, if it's in a public place after the nikah, that is fine. If they've met alone, whether they claim that it has not been consummated, that is not, most of the scholars don't take that. If they've met alone in a private place, then it will be considered that nikah has been consummated. Okay, so the meher will be decided based upon that, whether they've met or not in privacy. Wala, and do not, tansavul fadla, do not forget. Tansavu, nasi means to forget. Don't forget what? This is a very interesting part of the ayat. Al fadla, the fadl, the bounty, the extra, the blessing, the graciousness. Bainakum, among you. So even if the divorce is happening, don't forget the niceness, the kindness, the essence, the beautiful talk. Do not forget that this is all part or package of the divorce from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unfortunately, how opposite are the divorces that we see in our world. How opposite it is from what Allah has commanded us. That do not forget to be gracious. Do not forget to be kind, gentle, nice. Okay? Inna Allaha, indeed Allah, bima, of what? Ta'amaluna, whatever amal you do, whatever actions you do, Ain Mim Lam, Basir, he is all seer. He can see. He is seeing all that is happening in your lives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq, the ability to do things in a most beautiful manner, to be able to be gentle and kind and generous and gracious towards others in all situations, inshallah.